If you're looking into trying out podcasting, you may have found out that doing a video podcast has become pretty popular, but you may not know what a good workflow is or process or even some equipment that is needed for that. So in this video, I'm going to show you my production workflow for our video podcast to hopefully give you some inspiration or maybe some ideas to add into your workflow to make it a little bit easier on you. So I have everything set up for our podcast. Obviously, this one, I'm going to have two guests here. I got my co-host, and then we got a guest coming on. So that's why there's these two spots here. So I have three microphones. Sometimes we have four people total. So we'll just be a little more squished around the table, but then I'll fit some more microphones around here. So this is kind of just what the overall product looks like. All the cool lights turned on in the background. We're using the main camera, which is the Sony ZV-E10. And so then I can kind of control everything from here. I'll show you my setup right here where I'm still monitoring everything. But all the microphones are going into this Rodecaster Pro 2 here. And I will get a different camera set up so that way you can kind of see what's going on from my view over here. All right, so now you're looking at everything I use right here. Again, we have the Rodecaster Pro 2 where I am able to hook up all the microphones through here, and then I control everybody's fade. I can mute the microphones separately. And at the beginning, we do an initial mic test, and then I just check everybody's levels. If I have to adjust anything, I just go in here, up their gain if I have to. And that's pretty much it. Make sure everybody's headphones volume sounds good. And then just throughout the show, I go ahead and just keep an eye on this. And if I notice anybody kind of moving away, I'll go ahead and change in here and up their gain just a little bit. And I just constantly monitor that. All the audio runs through here. And then I have the Stream Deck right here. And then for the actual production of the show, I run everything through Ecamm Live. And that's a Mac only software, but I do have the pro version of that. So there's a lot of things I can control and do. And basically, I edit the show as we do it. And that's the really cool thing about Ecamm Live is you can preload everything, change camera angles, and do everything to where once you upload it, you have minimal to no editing in Final Cut Pro or whatever you use. You can do it as the show goes along. And that's kind of how I have it set up. So I'm going to try and show you what I use. And then I also have the Stream Deck, which pairs nicely because it allows me to control Ecamm Live without actually having to make clicks on the screen. I can just control it through these buttons here. So it does have a preview window, so we could kind of see what, is actually on the window as we do it. And I can monitor, make sure everything is in frame and looking good. And we have three cameras that we use. So we have the main camera, which is the Sony ZV-E10 right now. And then we usually use two iPhone cameras with an app called Shoot. And that allows us to get basically the whole screen recording. Because if you see, if I can't do it now because I am using one of my phones, but this is kind of what it looks like. That phone actually turned off. But this is what would be the secondary view of a cell phone. And if you use just the camera app, it's going to show all those record buttons and everything. But if you do it through the Shoot app, it gets rid of all that and allows you to use your full screen as a camera. So we use two iPhones with that Shoot app. And then I have a cable going from those phones into a USB port on the computer. And they just show up as cameras here in Ecamm Live, and they'll show up down here. And then I can manually click through each one if I want to, or with the Stream Deck, I just go up here and hit configure Stream Deck. And then depending on whose cell phone I use, I can change it. So you see, I got the first one here as the Sony ZV-10. And then usually depending on who I want to do a close up on, I'll just name that camera their name. And then, so when I use the Stream Deck, I'll just hit, say if I want to go up on me, I'll hit that and it'll go straight to that camera, which isn't working right now just because I don't have that Shoot app on this one, but wanted to kind of show you guys what it looked like. And then if I want to go back to the main, I just hit that button right here on the Stream Deck that goes back. And I can control all my scenes. So you'll see this is just the main scene where I do all the cameras, and this is our main podcast. But I have an intro saved. So when I hit the intro, it plays the intro, and I have the intro audio preloaded into the Rodecaster Pro 2. And so all I got to do is up that fader, hit that sound pad with that intro, it plays as the scene plays in Ecamm Live. And then everything just kind of, once that is done playing, it automatically switches to this main screen here. And it's pretty sweet. And then we just go right into the podcast. And then if I want to go back to something, so say if I want to share a screen, I just go up here and add another scene. And then I could do a screen share, but I don't want to do it now because it'll mess things up. But then I could show something on my desktop if I want to, or I can also, add in pictures. If I want to throw in, a video clip from something, I can add everything in here. And then once I want to pull it up, I can either change it manually just by clicking on that seed in here, or I can hit next scene on the Stream Deck and it switches back and forth. And so if I go hit this previous scene, it goes automatically to the intro, which I have a countdown timer, and that's the length of my audio. And then once that goes through, it automatically switches to the main scene. So pretty cool. And I can mute sound, or I can do picture in picture, or if we stream live on Ecamm Live, it'll show me how many viewers there currently are on the Stream Deck. So Stream Deck works really good with Ecamm Live. That way I can just sit here and control it from this without having to constantly look at the screen and click through there. It makes it really awesome. And with Ecamm Live, I just have the Rodecaster Pro going in as my main audio source. And then if there's anything else I need to bring in, I can control that too. And then I can also control my cameras. So if I want to like zoom in, zoom out, I can manually control that. And then I can play with the brightness and everything like that. So it's really cool. A lot of things that you can do through Ecamm Live. And it's made it to where I don't even have to do any sort of post editing. It's all being done as we record. So if you do have a MacBook computer and you're doing anything video related, I use this for even my YouTube videos. Everything now gets recorded through here, and it makes the editing process so much simpler because you can do most of it through here. And I'll go ahead and show you guys the cameras so you can see those. So I'll just flip this around. So you'll see I don't have the two cell phone cameras that we usually do because the guys aren't here yet. But you'll see the main camera, which is in the center, is that Sony ZV-E10. And on either sides, we have two stands where the cell phones go, and that acts as the secondary camera. And really, we do that just to add a different visual appeal to the podcast. Since it is an video version, you're not getting bored with just the same camera angle. It adds a little bit more something to it, so that way it kind of helps keep your attention. And then I do just have my MacBook computer that everything is actually plugged into. So the Rodecaster, all the cameras and everything are going through some USB ports that are hooked into the computer. And then I just have this big monitor that I have positioned just out of the screen. And then I'm able to sit here and easily go through everything, make sure everything's good right here without it showing up on camera. As far as the lighting goes, the main lights that are above us are the newer LED lights. I think they're like the 440 panels, and I have some softbox covers over them just to spread out that light and make it a little bit softer. And then they are mounted to C-stands, which these C-stands are super versatile because I can change the height, which way they sway, and then I can also have them come down and directly come at us if I want to use it for a main key light. But I found with the podcast, when I have multiple people sitting here, the best way to light us all is to have them directly above us and just shining down. And then that way it doesn't bleed out the blue light that we have in the background as well. And then for the accent lights, I do just have a regular LED light that I keep on a red on one of the regular light stands that just adds a cool accent color. And then over here is where I have another LED light that we have on blue, and that I just like the blue background color. And then we have these Govee lights that are on the shelves, and these are cool because they're controlled by an app, so you can change the brightness, the temperature, and the color of all of them, and just turn them on and on through the app, and it just adds some cool visual effect and everything to that background to make it stand out. And then I have a really small light here that just shines on the globe, and then I have a Philips Hue that is inside this lamp here, and that just adds another light to that right there. Otherwise, I used to have these shelves not lighted, and it just makes the background look dark. So adding these accent lights just helps it pop a little bit more and adds a cool visual effect to the background. All right, so now that the podcast has been recorded and we're all done with that, what I do is basically I go ahead and just open up Final Cut Pro, and then I will take my file from Ecamm Live. So I'll go in here, search for Ecamm Live, and it'll have that file right there. I'll drag and drop it into Final Cut Pro. And you notice it's a little bit longer file. I had this pre-recording some stuff for this video. So I'll just scroll through here until I see our intro. So I'll hover over here and right where the intro starts, that's when I'll create the break and I'll delete that out and then I'll bring it in here. And then I just scroll to the very end and I will delete out whatever I don't want in there. And that's pretty much it. That is really all I do for the podcast as far as editing. I may go through here and just double check the audio, but for the most part, since everything was going through the Rodecaster Pro and I can monitor it there, everything's pretty good. I may have to bump up the volume slightly, but that's about it. And sometimes if there's something that we talk about that I didn't preload in Ecamm Live, I'll go ahead and upload that and add it in Final Cut Pro. I'll also go ahead and add in like the subscribe buttons and all of that. But that's pretty much it. And then from here, I just go ahead and upload the video file. I'll just come up here and go to export to YouTube and Facebook. And I already have it preset. You'll see with 4K, it is a pretty big file, but then I'll just upload it to my desktop and then I'm able to upload it to YouTube. And then also what I'll do is I'll take the audio only file from here. I do a backup in GarageBand and on the Rodecaster Pro 2 directly, just as backups because I've had issues in the past. So I'd rather have a redundancy. But I'll just want to go ahead and just take the audio only version for this file. It's for our audio only platforms. So I'll just go to this setting right here and do audio only. That'll give me an MP3 file. And then what I'll do is I'll take that MP3 file, and for our audio only, I use Buzzsprout, which is an awesome platform. If you are doing podcasting, whether even if you are just doing audio only platform, I highly recommend using Buzzsprout because it once you get it set up, you just upload that episode and it'll automatically send it out to all of those directories that you're registered with. So you'll see right here, we're registered. Some of these it says get listed, but we're already registered with these. So it will send it out to all these platforms directly every time we upload an episode. I can schedule an episode through here. So it's really cool. So I'll just go to upload episode. I have pre-roll or post-roll that I can add in. I'll upload a file here, and that's when it'll upload to Buzzsprout. And then I have Magic Mastering as well, and that'll just make sure that it fixes any audio issues. So if somebody's really quiet, it'll kind of bump up their volume, just maximize the best quality that it can get, which is really awesome. This is a paid subscription, so it's like $8, $12 a month for what we have. So depending on how many podcasts that you're doing per month, you may only need say 3 hours and not the 9-hour version. I think I have a 6-hour cycle time, and you can, if you go over, you can always add additional time. In each episode, you'll be able to title it however you want to, add a description to whatever you want to. You'll change the episode number to whatever it is. If you do seasons, you can add that as well. One cool thing with Buzzsprout is you can create a visual soundbite, and that's if you want to take a small clip of your actual podcast and put that up on like an Instagram reel or anything to give a preview of your podcast, you can do that through here. And it's really cool, super easy. You just pick the section of that podcast you want to. It'll create that soundbite, email it to you, you download it, and then upload it to whatever social media platform you want to. So with the thumbnails, I have that saved as a project in Canva. I create most of my thumbnails in Canva. They make it super easy. And so what I do is I already have them preloaded in here, and I just keep the same thumbnail each time, but I'll change the title. So all I have to do is go in here. I keep the main background, but then I'll just change the title to whatever I need to. And then you'll see I have a couple different ones in here. But once that's done, then I just go to share, download, and then it downloads. And then I'm able to upload that into YouTube for the thumbnail. And then I also take that into Ecamm Live. So what I'll do is I will actually go into our intro, and over here in the overlay section, I can either drop or import that thumbnail in here. So that's what shows up. So if I turn that off, you'll see it's just doing the share screen now, where I can, I have another thing preloaded up that shows in the background. But that way, as our intro, it also shows the thumbnail as well. And we'll see once the timer's done, then bam, it switches to the main screen. So that is the great thing about Ecamm. Everything gets preloaded in here. And again, very little editing. So here are a couple quick clips of the finished podcast so you can see just how easy and great it turns out using Ecamm Live. Welcome back to another episode of the Workbench After Hours podcast. This is episode 36.
You're just like, oh, let's open up our own bar. It's like, God, must be nice.
I think it'd be cool if I were to ever take my gun business and do a brick and mortar. I think one cool thing would be to have a bar, like a whiskey area where you can. Well, cool. Well, we appreciate you being back on this week, Jacob. We'll have you on again.
Looking forward to it.
Cool. Keep a lookout for the merch, like they always say, but it'll happen someday.
Basic branding.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Chris, take us out.
Have a good one.
So hopefully this video was helpful for those of you that are looking to start a video podcast and need some inspiration on workflow or maybe even some equipment. Hopefully you can take some ideas away that'll make it just a little bit easier for you to produce. If you want to try out Ecamm Live, Buzzsprout, or even look at any of the gear that I use, click in the description below and I'll have links to everything down there. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're interested in checking out the Workbench After Hours podcast or even Shotgun Studio podcast, check out these video links right here.